Rajiv has been crushing it on the YouTubes. I love watching his content and am so grateful he's sharing his wonderful knowledge wrapped in his approachable, calm demeanor. So I wanted to show my appreciation, and I hope that it doesn't come off like I think I'm a hot tamale when I say that I am going to make him a lavender-filled sachet adorned with hand embroidery. Sure, I'm not a novice when it comes to hand embroidery, but I am also by no means an expert. So again, I hope that it doesn't come off like I think my skills are all that in a bag of chips. Because, well, they aren't. But what to send him? Like, what design? Well, he's quite passionate about calligraphy. In fact, he's good enough that he gets paid.
I'm Rajiv Surendra. You know what I do for a living? I'm a calligrapher. That's right. I make a living writing by hand.
I mean, how incredible, right? So I'm browsing through some of my embroidery books, seeing what pops out with that idea in mind. Here's a book I've had in my collection for a few years now. It's a hodgepodge of really neat designs belonging to the Dover, I hope I'm saying that right, Dover Pictorial Archive series, edited by Mary Carolyn Walrep. I hope I'm saying that right. Waldrep. Maybe that's how you say it. I'm sorry, Mary. But it's a delightful book. Then there's this treasure of a book created by the absolutely incredible Susan O'Connor. She is a badass.
You know, back when monogramming was all the rage, there were lots of little helpful things and shortcuts for being able to do a monogram.
And I had the once-of-a-lifetime opportunity to take a class of hers back when Henry was a baby. I know it, we both learned the 411 of monograms together. I'm thinking the design for Rajiv's sachet will be formed of elements from two different monograms out of the Dover publication. I love that it's from New York City, and it seems to be a bit more on the historic side of things, and since Rajiv lives in New York and loves things on the historic side, it seems like things are headed in the right direction. So I take photos of things that I want to play around with, and then I import those photos in my computer, combine this with that, erase this, move this around, bada bing, bada boom, voila. I also grabbed this linen since it's such a treasure. It's been hanging out in my stash for a bit, waiting for the right project, and it feels like said project has arrived. See, I helped out a sewing buddy receive a smocking pleater a few years back, and she graciously and unknowingly to me thanked me by sending this linen from Belarus. I know it, how special. Check out the selvage edge. I mean, it is just beautiful fabric. So with linen, it's a good practice to pull a thread, and here we go. I'm pulling away. Don't mind my nails. I was dyeing fabric earlier. So from there, I'm giving my piece an ironing and transferring the design with the use of a light board and the friction heat activated pen, both of which are linked on my Amazon storefront. Just an FYI, since I get a ton of questions asking about these two products in particular. So once the design is transferred, let the hand embroidery fun begin. Alright, so this is not going well. I am stopping. Okay, when I picked out, here's what's happening. When I picked out this fabric, I love the idea of this fabric that's come halfway across the world and all this sort of stuff, but when I picked it out, I was a little bit like skeptical of if it was going to work out for the direction that I want to go. I really want to do white work, and I want it to be like as good as I can get it. By no means are my stitches like even the best stitches that I'm capable of doing, by no means are they like anywhere near to, it's fine. But these are not the best stitches that I can do because the fabric is a bit of a looser weave, and like I said, when I picked it out, I was a little bit like hesitant whether it's gonna work with the direction I wanted to go, and I wanted to give it a try. I love the idea of it being halfway across the world and just kind of like bringing people together. I love the story of it, but alas, it's not working for the vibe. So I've switched gears. I've taken a bunch of the elements off. I am just finishing it up so that I chose the S because I was hesitant by the fabric choice with the white work, applying white work to it. So I was like, okay, I'll choose an S because that's his last name and it's also my first name. And if it happens to be that I am correct, the fabric is not gonna, it's not gonna go over so well, I'll just keep it and it'll be a lesson learned. So here we are, the lesson learned. So I'm gonna continue on this path of learning the lessons. I finished up just kind of like the elements. I've erased a lot of the elements and I've just finished it up so it's like not terrible to look at, okay? If like it resembles an S. I'm going to continue down the path of learning things. I'm going to redo a refresher on the pin stitch by hand as well as drawn thread. It's been a long time since I've done those things by hand, so I'm going to refresh my memory and get my, get the greases rolled on, the wheels greased on those things. I'm also going to just put together the whole shebang, right? And then learn the lessons on this instead of the one that I'm going to put in the mail. So here we are continuing to learn the lessons. It's all good. It's all good. When things all work out, you just roll with it and just keep on going, and lessons learned are good things. I won't do this again with loosely weaving linen. It's beautiful linen. I'm not talking bad about it. It's just not for this purpose. So alrighty, so when round 2 commence? Well, first I finish up the sachet, like that first sachet. I might as well practice on that one and go through the motions of finishing the sachet so all those nuanced bits and pieces are sorted through, you feel me? And overall, I really like how the sachet went together, but yes, there are some areas of improvement with the construction. So, I have finished my sample. It smells delicious. It smells so good. I used organdy on the back. No, sorry, I used organza on the back. And isn't that fun? You can like see the little dried bits of lavender. So I think that's fun. Something that became so like obvious is these eyelets. I have these eyelets in here, and because it's both these little bits of lavender, it's like, I like the eyelets. I think I want to continue them for the design, like in the design, but obviously I need to like have some sort of lining. So I think I'm just going to do a bag within a bag. And that way I can still do the eyelets and not have the lavender kind of sneak its way out. Learned a bit putting this together, so it's good. It's good that I did a practice run and I've gotten those lessons out of the way, and so the next one can be even better. And oh yeah, I've got lavender on my workspace down here now. Okay, so definitely doing a little lining. So this was the original size, and I think this is a bit large. I've seen his apartment. The decor is very simple, very minimalist, very just like, I think this is a lot of real estate to take up. So I printed off some other sizes, and this is like a life decision that I'm trying to make right here. Sorry if you hear the coffee in the background. I'm brewing some coffee, having a little party this afternoon, about to sit down to do this embroidery. I'm going to be doing this, like I mentioned, I'm going to get some, if I can speak English. I'm going to choose some satin batiste. The weave is much tighter, so all my stitches will have a place. They will stay where I put them, and things will come together, I hope, a lot nicer. I don't know. I don't know what size to go with. I lean towards the smaller of the sizes, and then I think I'll just modify because the stitches will be a little bit too tight in this region. So I think I'll just modify that and make the eyelet a little bit bigger. And I think that'll work itself out. So I think I'm gonna go with this. Round 2, and I hope it comes. I need to clean up this lavender. Now let round 2 commence. It is all good. I size the design down, get to tracing, and begin the embroidery. While I love the process of hand embroidery, really I do, I am obsessed with this part. Having the ink from the friction pins disappear, it is so satisfying. I mean, did you see that? So the satin batiste did a much better job holding the stitches in place for this finer style of a hand embroidery. And while nothing I do is perfect, I mean, Rajiv, please do not look this over up close. I always strive to do my best within my current skill set. I'm very much a fan of I do because I can and I can because I do, and that cycle kind of feeds itself to constant self-improvement. But anywho, yeah, I do feel good at proceeding to put this sachet together. My heart sank into my stomach. I've never had this happen before, but I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be testing my iron pad from here on out. Yepers, something got onto it. I have no idea what, and she went home for a much needed washing. I'm immediately spraying that area with this stain remover that I happen to have in my office, and when that only worked so well, I went behind it with this bar of Felsnappa, is that however you say that? But unfortunately, nothing got the stain out completely. So I do finish up that sachet just to have another test run at the construction. I mean, I don't like to have unfinished projects, so finishing the project stops it from being an unfinished project. You see how that works? But also, it allows me to go through the motions of the construction so I have more practice putting together Rajiv's version. And bonus, I now have me 2 lavender-filled sachets. How nice is it that Rajiv and I share a letter in common, right? So let round 3 commence. And I'm kind of feeling like doing a different design. So I'm going back to the books, grabbing this beautiful, simple S. I mean, how beautiful is it in its simplicity? And then pairing it with some flowers from one of the books of Elizabetha's gorgeous embroidery series. I have all her books on my website, and I love them for so many reasons. I have used them over and over again, and I see myself going to these books for years to come. I'm putting those pictures onto my computer, combining them to my liking, and voila, everyone cross your fingers, toes, and eyeballs as this third attempt begins. Alrighty, kiddos, so why do I do this? Okay, so many things you can, we could talk about, but I'm on my 3rd round of the Rajiv lavender-filled satchel, and I'm fairly pleased with it. It's by no means perfect, and that's okay. You cannot let perfectionism, like the idea of it, rule your life. It, for most of us, would become paralyzing. You have to allow yourself to get immersed in something, to enjoy the journey, to allow it to find the growth within. And so from my, and I'm not a stranger to hand embroidery, okay? I've got some experience with hand embroidery. I've dabbled a little bit into the whitework style of, there's many styles of hand embroidery. So I haven't spent a lot of time in the realm of whitework, although I've done it here and there. But from my 1st round to my 2nd, there was improvement. From my 2nd to my 3rd, and this is only a matter, over a couple weeks that I've been doing this project, there has been improvement, because you allow the art to embrace you, and then you grow within it, and you challenge yourself, and you push yourself, and you don't get paralyzed by the idea of perfectionism, but you roll with the growth, and you strive for there's a constant murmur in my mind of how can I do this better? And it's not from a place, it's from a place of productivity. It's not from like getting down on myself, beating myself up. It's like, could that have been a little bit better? How could I have done that a little bit better? Could that be a little more polished? Could that have been a little bit more efficient? I don't know if I'm in focus. I hope I am. But how can I improve, you know, filming myself and talking to a camera without anybody around? How can I could probably have a camera person, or I could have maybe a remote or a thing or more of a setup. But you see, so it's like, it's a constant murmur that's in my mind, and it's been a constant murmur, I don't know, a good 10, 15 years of how can I improve? How can I improve? And not being paralyzed by the imperfections, but allowing the imperfections to grow, to fuel the process of growth. And you do that on a regular basis, and it kind of becomes a little bit of a game, you know, from day to day, from activity to activity. But then you do that over 6 months, over 5 years, over a decade, and it's just like you don't recognize who you were a decade ago, because there's been so much growth. Not to say that who you were a decade ago was bad, but you've just grown. You've just grown. And so you've grown and you've evolved into this person that the qualities from a decade ago to now, you're a different person, and your skills and just everything of course it compounds, and it compounds for a number of reasons. And there's so much to unpack here. So much to unpack here. But I'm going to leave it kind of at that. This is insight to the creative process. There's so much I could talk about on this subject, but this is an insight to the creative process. You know, you don't need to be a prodigy. I mean, prodigies are rare. Like, the idea that somebody should be a prodigy and an activity for them to do the activity, like, nothing would have gotten done, because prodigies are so rare. The majority of us have to learn, you know, and grow and evolve and all that sort of stuff. And so nothing in society would have gotten done if everything was left up to prodigies, because we aren't all, you know what I'm saying? It's such a small amount of the population. So this is an insight to the creative process. This is what growth looks like. This is what sticking with something. This is what challenging yourself. This is all those things coming together. And now I get to send this gift, and I hope he likes it. Of course, it has imperfections on it. One, I just haven't done that many reps in the realm of white work, but also I'm still a person. And the thing is if you know what you're looking for, which he does. He does. I'm sure he can explain my project better than I can, and that's fine. But when you know what you're looking, it's amount of what lens are you viewing something through. There's always going to be imperfections. You go to haute couture, there's always going to be imperfections, because that's the humanity. So I am proud of the project and how it's come to, and I am excited to give it. And it's of course, there's a little bit of my heart that goes into every project. I have to enter it knowing that I'm not going to keep it, and it's going to be sent off, and that's fine. But there's a little bit of my heart that goes into it, and it's me giving it with the imperfections. Although I have tried my best with it, it's giving a little bit of humanity to somebody else, and I hope he enjoys it. I mean, I would be honored if it was on the bottom of his gym bag. To be frank, he's inspired me so much. I love his content, and Rajiv, I hope you enjoy it. I would be so honored if you watched this video. Oh my god, especially if you got to the end of this whole hot mess in a hurry. Oh my goodness. I hope you enjoy it.